Hi, my name's Héloïse and this is my first YouTube video ever. I've been thinking of starting a YouTube channel for a while now, but every time I would just try to find excuses not to do it. But right now, I'm in quarantine and I don't know what else there is to do. So I decided to start a sewing YouTube channel. I think it's important to mention that I am by no means a professional seamstress. I'm not sure if this channel is going to be more like sewing tutorials or more like my sewing journey with my fails and my successes, but I make stuff like this and I like the results usually. And if you're interested in that, well, welcome to my channel. For my first sewing video, I decided to make this cute front tie summer dress. I'm not sure what the right term is. If you're interested in seeing how I made it, well then just keep on watching. So after 3 months of quarantine, I decided that my first public appearance would be to go to the fabric store. And I got this fabric. I think it's cotton. Honestly, I don't know. It was in the clearance section. I immediately pictured a front tie summer dress or something. I also got this zipper. Since it's not invisible, I kind of wanted to hide it. I'm picturing maybe like on this side, I'm gonna look for some inspiration on Pinterest or whatever, and yeah. So I'm gonna cut out my pieces. I still don't know what the middle one's gonna be like because I have to kind of like make a thing to tie it. So I'm not exactly sure. Okay.
I used this pattern that I made a few weeks ago. It was honestly pretty easy to make because I just traced the panels of a dress that fits me really well. I don't actually trust myself to make a pattern from scratch. I was planning to have a white lining, so I cut 2 of the back pieces, 2 of the side ones, and since I didn't want the white to show on the tie at the front, I made sure to cut 4 of the front pieces in my yellow fabric so 2 of those could become the lining. I followed the main shape of my front piece, but then eyeballed the shape I needed for the tie. From an old bed sheet that had obviously already been slaughtered, I cut out the lining pieces. I made sure to leave a 1 cm seam allowance for everything, although let's face it, I didn't really measure anything.
I'm kind of scared, I'm not gonna lie, because I have no idea if this is actually gonna work, but I guess it kind of looks like something.
I did manage to get over my perfectly natural fear of ruining a beautiful fabric that I'd gotten for only $3 and started pinning my bodice pieces together. I left one of the sides completely open for the side zipper I was planning to put in. This is why it doesn't look like an actual bodice and more like 4 sad separated pieces of fabric, but I promise it'll make sense later. Everything was going well. Too well.
Aww. I broke a pin. Okay, at least I didn't break my needle, which, wait, I should turn this off. Which would have been really bad.
I struggled for a while, but as you can see, I managed to retrieve the deceased pin and kept on happily sewing. I ironed flat all of the seams because it's just so damn satisfying, all the while making sure to cut little slits in the seam allowance of the curved edges. I sewed the lining and the bodice together along the top and all around the little ties. Once again, I left the sides open where my zipper was going to go.
This feels like it could work. Although I think it's kind of like too much here. I think I have to stop it kind of there. I'm struggling. There we go, it's done. The straps! I forgot to do the straps to put them in there. Okay, we'll do that before doing the understitch.
I fixed the front of the bodice first and then started working on the forgotten straps. I made them 4 centimeters wide and 35 centimeters long, again, leaving a 1 centimeter seam allowance on every side. While sewing those, I kept telling myself that if I wanted my seam to be straight, all I had to do was to follow the yellow square road. I'm sorry if you didn't laugh at that, but I chuckled to myself for at least 5 minutes after thinking it, so I just had to put it in. I cut off the excess fabric and proceeded to flip them inside out with the assistance of a safety pin. It turned out to be a pretty tedious process, and I felt compelled to sing this song from Status Update.
I'm struggling.
After several minutes of trying to slide the safety pin inside the strap, I succeeded and was seized by the sudden desire to pretend that I was in a bad spy movie.
I'm in.
I finally flipped the straps inside out and seam ripped the places where I wanted to put them in. I sewed those in place from the inside so it wouldn't show. Again, I cut slits around the curved edges so it wouldn't bunch up on the inside. I sewed an understitch, which basically prevents your lining from sticking out all the time. You sew a straight stitch along the side of the lining while making sure the seam allowance is right under it, so they're sewn together. It was impossible to go all around it like at the ties, but I sewed wherever I could. I ironed everything to make it all crisp, and I ended up with this. Then I went to bed because it was 1 a.m.
So it is the next day, and today I'm tackling the circle skirt. Actually, I might do a gathered skirt. I don't know yet. I'm tackling the skirt.
I opted for a gathered skirt and cut out my lining first. The bottom of the panel was 1 meter wide, and I made the top a bit larger than my waist so I could gather it. Here you can see me, very unsure of my measurements and too scared to start cutting. And I was right, because what was I thinking gathering the lining? I eventually realized I was a moron and cut the top of the panel so it would fit my waist properly, although I did keep the larger waist for my actual skirt. I sewed one of the sides together for each layer. Then I sewed a basting stitch along the top of the skirt to gather it, making sure not to backstitch. I sewed 3 of those now because once my thread broke and it scarred me. Now the secret to gathering is to not pull on all the threads. I'm saying this because when I learned how to gather, I didn't know that you had to pull on either the top threads or the lower threads, and because of that, I didn't use this magical technique for the longest time, so I'm hoping to pass my knowledge on to you. As you can see, this waistband appeared out of thin air, as did its twin made out of a bedsheet. They both are 8 centimeters wide and conveniently the size of my waist. I pinned both to my bodice right sides together, and by that I mean the lining together and the yellow fabric together, right sides together. Did that make any sense? I'm not sure how else to explain it. Then I sewed it all together. Then I went and got coffee because I really wanted coffee. I only sewed the skirt to the yellow waistband so I could later close off the raw edges from the inside with the lining waistband. And if that isn't clear enough, which let's face it, it probably isn't, I put the link to a tutorial that explains it better in the description.
I broke a pin again.
But it was fine. I added it to my collection. I finished sewing the waistband and finished off the lining waistband. If you see my arm moving a lot, it's because I was taking out each pin one by one to make sure I didn't accidentally murder a third one. I seam ripped all of the basting stitches that were still showing. Here you can see me prepping for the dreaded zipper. It was actually very short, so I had to close off the top of the bodice first, leaving only a small opening to put it in. As I anxiously sewed it on, I was careful to keep the lining as far away as possible from the needle, since I would later fold it on the other side of the zipper.
Okay, so I put it on. The straps I think are a little too long. Yeah, it has to be a little higher. The zipper works, but there's one thing, and that's, I'm kind of embarrassed actually. Look how uneven that waistband is. How did I do this? And I kind of hate it. This is my first try on, so I can now kind of figure out everything. So straps, zipper, waistband. On it.
I fixed those off camera because, to be honest, it was kind of a pain. But it was fixed, and I proceeded to pin and sew the zipper to the lining. I closed off the side, leaving the 2 layers separated below the zipper. Then it was time for the hem.
Okay, I'm struggling. I've been trying to get this dress on my mannequin for the past 15 minutes, and it won't go on because my mannequin is very stubborn. I'm gonna try to ask my little sister if she can wear it for me so I can hem it. I hope she says yes. It's getting kind of late. It's like 10 p.m. so I don't know if she'll be up to it, but I'm hoping she says yes.
I came down to the basement to find her freaking out about a Thai drama on Netflix called Innocence, and it took a while before I could ask for her help. Surprisingly enough, she was more than willing to sub for my mannequin and acted weirdly happy about it. I cut the lining so it would be shorter than the actual skirt, and I evened out the yellow one. Then I dismissed my sister and sewed down a rolled hem.
I think I'm done.
And folks, I was.
So thank you for watching this video. If you think you could be interested in more videos like this, well then subscribe, I guess, and if you like the video, like it. Sorry, this feels very unusual to say because usually I just see it, but I guess I'm saying it now. Like and subscribe if you want to. You don't have to, but you know, if you want to. Okay, bye.